I mean, I like it that the sort of apparently at least somewhat sincere attempt on John Boehner's life happened exactly at the same time, or nearly at the same time, that he was also being kind of, politically ringed by knife-wielding assassins. I think that was, there was like a real, if you wrote that in a political novel, people would be like, oh my God, it's, it's a little overwritten.
Right. It's like, well, it's those times where you say, House of Cards, it's pretty entertaining, but this doesn't really happen.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like if this, to the extent that the Boehner character is Kevin Spacey, like this is a totally plausible House of Cards plot and like a not very plausible thing that happened in real life.
Right.
But apparently it did. And I think, I always said during the Bush years that I was surprised there weren't some or perhaps more, depending on how you count, assassination attempts, because there really was this kind of, Bush derangement syndrome, right? And people really, the kind of Bush Hitler stuff and all that. And then, to some extent, I think it transferred over to Obama on the other side, and, this sort of just craziness that people feel about politics. It's hard, though, for me to understand, like, all right, I am crazy enough to try and kill a major political figure, John Boehner. That's who I'm going to get. You know what I mean? It's like
Boehner derangement syndrome is not really a known thing.
Was it like a crime of opportunity? Maybe, like maybe he was like, well, that guy's a regular, I can get him. But
well, there's a little bit, right? I mean, one thing about Barack Obama and George W. Bush don't sit at the bar drinking red wine, so you don't really have the opportunity to, dump your strychnine or whatever into his glass.
Right. I mean, that's true. There is that as well, I suppose. But, I think there is, on some level, this is kind of a broader political point, which is that there's this delusion, I think, that individuals matter a huge amount, particularly people on the Hill. Like the idea that if Boehner drops dead tomorrow, that isn't essentially a good thing for his political agenda. First of all, that there's a certain amount of kind of sympathy, rallying round. Like, can you imagine being, one of the people who voted against Boehner's return to his position, and then the guy gets killed, right? Like, you are a jackass, right? Like, any statement that you put out that was like, well, he's not really good for America, it's like, you're basically an accomplice in his murder. And I think, it's you see that time and time again with political candidates who are assassinated and their spouses wind up in their seats or that kind of thing. I mean, the idea that would have made a difference is both kind of a great man theory of history problem on a larger scale, and also just, in the petty day today, like, is this guy really, has he really got his finger on the nuclear button? No.
Right. Fair enough. I mean, and in fact, right, the power that John Boehner had that pissed this guy off apparently was the guy thought he was one of the country club members who tried to get him fired, right? I mean, it wasn't over the contract with America or something like that, or whatever it is that, John Boehner stands for. Anyway. Well, it was definitely a story that added some levity around. It's partly because it wasn't. I mean, I think it was all talk. So, I think we could joke about it a little bit, and it added a little bit of levity in a pretty dark couple of.